Lexus has spent years building hybrids in all shapes and sizes, but it's never done a fully electric vehicle, until now. What's up, folks? I'm Dave Undercoffler, editor-in-chief of Autolist.com, a sister company to CarGurus. Today we're testing the first ever Lexus RZ. This is a compact luxury all-electric crossover that's new for the 2023 model year. It starts at about $60,000 and has up to 220 miles of range. It goes up against a growing number of compact luxury crossovers that are all electric, including the Tesla Model Y, the Volvo XC40, the Genesis GV60, and the Audi Q4 e-tron. So is this going to be good enough to keep up or even beat those rivals? Let's go find out. But before we do, be sure to like and subscribe to this page so you can get alerts on all of our future updates. All right, we'll start with a look at the exterior of this new RZ. The first thing you're probably noticing is the two-tone paint. That is absolutely an option, so don't think that you have to get that. Most of the models you're gonna see at the dealership are gonna be one color, and they're really nice colors. This is two-tone, and this is actually a $1,200 option as you see it here. Personally, I don't like it at all. This is a lovely blue, but to add black on the hood really sort of pulls out the grille, makes it look kind of sporty and not in a good way. So if you are shopping for your RZ, let me recommend a solid color tone. It is worth noting, however, that this black two-tone look is only available on the blue you see here or gray, so you can't do it on the entire color palette of the RZ. But what do you guys think? If you're buying this new crossover, would you go for the two-tone, or do you just keep it simple and go for one color? Let us know in the comments below. Styling-wise, Lexus designers did a nice job of covering up this car's more humble roots. This is based on the Toyota BZ4X, so it's not like Lexus was starting from a blank sheet of paper. You do have a very Lexus-like grille up front. You've got the daytime running lights here, you got headlights down below, and this emblem is backlit, and that's a $200 option. Moving to the side of the vehicle, you can see the length here. It's a few inches longer than a Tesla Model Y and also about an inch shorter. Gives it a nice aerodynamic profile. We've got 20-inch rims on our tester. Base models will come with 18-inch rims, and the rim size makes a really big difference in range. We'll tell you how big in just a few minutes. At the side, you can also see the black two-tone paint package sort of continue down the side of the vehicle. Gives you kind of a floating roof look. This is not a window. It's made to look like one, but it's not once you're inside the car. And then at the back, you've got a really steep angle here for the rear glass, some aerodynamic elements built in right here. And then down below, you've got the horizontal light bar, Lexus badging, and down here, RZ450E, and then the Direct 4. That refers to the full-time all-wheel drive system on this vehicle that's standard on both trim levels. Now let's take a look under the hood, and unlike some other EVs on the market, namely the Tesla Model Y, there's no frunk, so there's no storage space under here. This is actually where they've put the powertrain. The powertrain itself is a 71.4 kilowatt-hour battery. It makes 313 horsepower. It will do 0 to 60 in 5 seconds, but the bad news is the range. On base models with the 18-inch wheels, it has 220 miles of EPA range. With the larger 20-inch wheels we have on our tester, range drops to 196 miles. That is just not good these days for EVs, especially one that costs as much as this. We'll get into more details about that in the driving impressions a little bit later. Turning to the inside of the RZ, this is actually a really nice place to spend some time. It's a well laid out cabin, so there's a couple of things I really like I want to show you. For one, you've got a 14-inch color touchscreen here that has wireless Apple CarPlay, wireless Android Auto. Let me show you the CarPlay. Really nice, big, crisp screen, very responsive to your touches. That's nice. I do have one small nitpick about the system and the way it displays the CarPlay screen. As you can see right now, it's taking up the entire screen. What it's covering up is this column of buttons here. Other brands, other displays in different vehicles will have this column there all the time, and then the rest of the Apple CarPlay display will be here. Not so here. It just means you're going back and forth more than I would like. It is a small nitpick, but it adds up as you're using the vehicle. Some other nice things that I like, you've got physical buttons down here for a variety of different functions. You've got your climate control, dual zones so the passenger and driver can have different temperatures. Nice little display in there. That's a nice trick. You have a volume knob. It's a physical knob. You guys know that I hate touchscreens when everything is controlled that way, so that's nice to have some physical buttons. You've also got it for the defrosting, front and rear, and then down below the automatic parking and the camera view. The RZ comes in two different trim levels. There's the premium and then the luxury. We're testing the fully loaded luxury version, so you get some goodies on this that you may not get on the base model. For one, you've got heated and cooled seats up front. The seats in the back are heated. I've also got a heated steering wheel. You can see the menus for those here on the climate control. We also have a robust heads-up display. Gives you a lot of information. That's pretty cool. And this car has a Mark Levinson audio system. It has 13 speakers, 1,800 watts of power. Sounds really good. That's a nice feature to have. In terms of connectivity, you've got 3 different USB-C charge ports down here. Below that is a wireless smartphone charger, and then the passenger has a 12-volt outlet down below by their knees. Finally, a few more things I want to point out about this interior. We have this glass roof. This is a $500 option. Let me just show you what it does. So it's opaque right now. You want to let the sunshine in, just push a button and it opens up to pure glass. That's a really cool feature. I do like that. In terms of shifting, the shift knob is here. It's a little wonky. You have to push down and then rotate it to the right to put it in the drive. Push down, rotate to the left to put it in the reverse. Push a button for park. That's a little cumbersome sometimes. Another thing that's driving me nuts, there's no glove box. Like the BZ4X, the Toyota that this is based on, there's no glove box. I don't know why Toyota and Lexus couldn't find extra space to put it in there, but unfortunately you're limited to this center console. One nice thing about this center console though, it opens both ways. So that's a cool little trick. Our loaded luxury trim also has these ultra suede seats. The material is really soft. I really like how those feel. And then the bolstering of the seats themselves is also very comfortable. You could do a long road trip in this car and have no complaints. Turning to the back seats, the RZ has a little bit less legroom than many of its rivals, but you wouldn't know it. There's still plenty of space back here. If you've seen our videos before, you know the drill. I put the front seat to where I would have it if I'm driving up there. So basically, I'm sitting behind myself. I'm 6'1", and as you can tell, even though it has less room than rivals, still plenty of space back here for your knees, your legs. Headroom is really nice. I like that, and it's headroom even with this glass roof. So overall, a very comfortable place to be. Helping it be comfortable are those seats I was mentioning up front. Really soft, very comfortable back here and supportive. So that's a nice touch. And then you have some other goodies back here. I've got an armrest that will fold down. The floor in between is nearly flat, so someone could sit in this seat and still be comfortable on longer trips. You have 3-stage heated seats for the outboard passengers. That's a nice touch. And then a pair of USB-C charge ports and then a 12-volt outlet down below. Out back, the RZ has 24 cubic feet of cargo space. That's less than most of its competitors, but you still have a good amount of usable space back here. The seats are split 60-40, and those fold completely flat for extra space. And then you do have a little more storage space down in the floor below. All right, now driving impressions. And I'm going to split it up into the driving dynamics and then the powertrain stats. The driving dynamics in this car are really nice. Again, 0 to 60 in 5 seconds. That's pretty quick. I'm just going to floor it here. Yeah, absolutely takes off. You have dual motor, standard all-wheel drive. That's really nice. So it handles really well. 313 horsepower. And in addition to that, the ride is really soft. It's not too jarring. Again, we've got the 20-inch alloy wheels. Sometimes maybe those lower profile tires give a harsh ride. Not so here. Comfortable. You could spend a long time in this car. Steering feels pretty good. And then the brakes. Some EVs have really artificial feeling brakes. Not so here. They're very natural, really easy to adjust to. Unfortunately, when it comes to the powertrain stats, it's those that make this RZ a total miss in our book. For one, let's talk about the range. At best, you have 220 miles of range. That's with the base model with the smaller 18-inch wheels. We're in the loaded luxury version, so this has the 20-inch wheels, so our range, when it's fully topped off, is 196 miles. Unfortunately, in 2023, that's just not enough range, especially when you consider this RZ is $68,000 as we're testing it here. Another thing that drives me nuts is the impact that the climate control has on this RZ's range. I haven't seen something like this since maybe a first-generation Nissan Leaf that came out more than a decade ago. So what I'm talking about is right now we have the climate control completely off. It's showing 123 miles of range. If I turn the climate control on, it's now showing 97 miles of range. That is a huge percentage of range to lose the minute you turn the climate control on. And what's important is that I don't even have the air conditioning on, and it's not even like I'm blasting the heater or the fan. Everything's turned down pretty low. Every vehicle this RZ competes against is going to be much better at thermal management. I'm not sure what Lexus expects people to do who live in cold climates where they're using the heater a lot, or who live in hot climates. We're in Southern California. It gets hot here. You're going to want to have the air conditioning on. So it just seems unreasonable to lose that much range just by turning the fan speed on. Now, there is a possible silver lining to how much range it loses, in that this could just be very accurate in showing you the overall impact of the climate control in your range. So maybe it's just accuracy, or maybe it's poor execution on Lexus's part, but either way, I don't like it. Another thing I don't like about driving this RZ is there's no true one-pedal driving. Most EVs today have a setting you can put it in, will allow you to basically, you never touch the brake pedal. You come off the throttle and the vehicle starts slowing down and recapturing some of the energy. This RZ does have adjustable levels of regenerative braking. You can use these shift paddles in the steering wheel. That's nice and handy, but the strongest level isn't nearly strong enough, especially when you compare it to almost every other EV that's on the market today. When it comes to visibility in this RZ, it's not great. If you think back to that really steep rear window and the lower profile of this vehicle, it all adds up to a pretty small window looking out through the rear view mirror. That gets a little frustrating. I will say the forward visibility isn't terrible. You've got an A pillar and a B pillar that aren't as thick as other vehicles, so it's pretty good looking forward, but not looking through the rear view mirror. When it comes to competition, this RZ definitely has its work cut out for it. Top of the list will be the Tesla Model Y. You also have the Genesis GV60 and the electrified GV70, the Volvo XC40 Recharge, and you also have Audi's new Q4 e-tron. Now, as I've pointed out, in terms of range, this RZ absolutely trails behind all of those models. It's actually one of the smallest ranges of any EV on the market today. That's super frustrating, especially when you consider the $68,000 price tag of the model we're testing right now. In addition to the awful range in this RZ, this vehicle is also as expensive or considerably more expensive than the rivals. So you've got more money, less range. That's not a recipe for success. Unfortunately, there just aren't any standout characteristics of this RZ that make it better than any of the rivals. Another thing I've found annoying while I've been testing this RZ is the fact that there aren't easily accessible drive modes. All EVs, and in fact most vehicles today, have different drive modes you can put them in. This has range that will maximize the range of the vehicle, has eco, sport, and a custom mode. But to get to that, you actually have to go through a menu in the screen. That's a little frustrating. You can program these touch-sensitive buttons on the steering wheel, and that makes it a little bit easier, but that's a lot of work to go through. I'd rather have a button on the dashboard or the center console that allows me to just change the mode and be done with it. All right, folks, there you have it, our review of the 2023 Lexus RZ. Pros, well, we really like the comfortable, quiet interior that has all the goodies and amenities that you would expect. The ride is really comfortable and quiet as well, and there's plenty of horsepower. Cons, well, that list is quite a bit longer. For one, this is an expensive vehicle considering how bad the range is. Below 200 miles just doesn't cut it when you come to this vehicle segment. We also didn't like that there's no one-pedal driving or how long the RZ takes to charge. So for all of those reasons, unfortunately, we just can't recommend the Lexus RZ. The competitors from Tesla, Genesis, and Volvo are just doing it better these days in terms of range, price, and execution. So for reviews or listings of this RZ or anything else you're shopping for, new or used, be sure to check out CarGurus.com. And before you go, like and subscribe to this channel so you can get alerts on all of our future updates. We'll see you out there.